Life is shorter than we think. Not short in years, but short in meaning. Because too often we live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, as if time is our servant and eternity is a myth. But deep inside, when the night falls quiet and the noise of the world fades, every soul knows the truth. Life is a vapor, a brief flicker of light in an endless sea of eternity. You were not born by accident. You were chosen, created by the very hands that painted the stars. The same voice that said, "Let there be light," spoke your name into existence. Yet how easily we forget that every breath we take is a borrowed moment of grace. Billy Graham once said, "My home is in heaven, I'm just traveling through this world." But most people, they travel as if they'll never leave. They chase the wind, building castles on sand, collecting trophies that rust and fade. They measure their success by applause, their worth by approval, their peace by possessions. And when the night finally falls, they realize they have everything except what matters most. My friend, life is not measured in years, but in purpose. You can live 80 years and never truly live a single day. And yet one moment of clarity, one spark of faith, one act of love for God can echo into eternity. The world teaches you to chase fame, but heaven teaches you to chase faith. The world says, "Follow your heart," but the truth says, "Surrender your heart." The world shouts, "Be remembered," but eternity whispers, "Be redeemed." Every man and woman who ever changed the world knew this truth. Thomas Edison lit the world with electricity, but even he said that his true light was faith. Abraham Lincoln carried a Bible through war and sorrow, whispering prayers between cannon fire. Walt Disney dreamed of a kingdom on earth, but he knew there was a greater kingdom yet to come. And what about you? What are you building with your time? Are you shaping a life that ends when you stop breathing, or one that begins when you take your last breath? There's a reason we feel that ache inside, that sense of something missing. It's not money, not success, not love from people. It's the echo of eternity calling us home. It's the voice of God saying, "I gave you time. What did you do with it?" Life isn't about adding days to your years. It's about adding life to your days. It's about walking with God in the morning, thanking Him in the storm, and trusting Him when you can't see the road ahead. Because faith is not knowing what tomorrow brings. Faith is knowing who brings tomorrow. Some people wake up chasing opportunity. Others wake up chasing approval. But the few, the rare few, wake up chasing purpose. And that's where the difference lies. It's not in what they have, it's in what they serve. They know that everything, every heartbeat, every sunrise, every challenge is part of a divine assignment. You see, discipline without purpose is slavery. Ambition without gratitude is emptiness. And success without God is failure in disguise. You can conquer mountains, win wars, build empires, but if you lose your soul, what have you gained? You can have the world's attention and still feel invisible. You can have the world's riches and still feel poor. Because nothing, no achievement, no applause can fill the space in your heart designed for God. So when you wake up tomorrow, remember this: you are standing on holy ground, the ground of a new beginning. And every day you rise, heaven watches to see how you will use your breath, your strength, your light. Stop living like you have forever. You don't.
Stop waiting for the right time to follow your calling. There is no right time, only now. Stop asking the world who you are. Ask the one who made you. Because when your days are done, the world will not ask what you owned. It will echo what you gave. And when you stand before God, He will not ask how many followers you had. He will ask how many lives you lifted, how many hearts you healed, how many moments you lived with courage and conviction. Your purpose is not hidden. It's waiting behind your fear. Your potential is not gone. It's buried under your doubt. And your greatness is not something you find. It's something you surrender to. The question is simple. Will you live like time is yours, or will you live like time is sacred, a gift from God to be spent with intention, not wasted in distraction? Because when life is short, every day matters. Every word matters. Every choice echoes beyond time itself.
There comes a moment in every life when the mirror stops lying, when the noise of the world grows quiet enough that you can finally hear your soul whisper, "There must be more than this." And that whisper, my friend, is not weakness, it's your awakening. The truth is, most people are alive but not truly living. They wake up each morning like machines, routine, predictable, numb. They trade passion for comfort, faith for logic, and purpose for survival. But a man who walks without purpose is already halfway in the grave, no matter how many years he lives. Look at history. The ones who left a mark weren't always the strongest or the smartest. They were the ones who believed that God wasn't done with them yet. When the world said give up, they said not yet. When failure laughed in their face, they smiled back and said, "Watch what my faith can do." It was never the crown that made a king, it was conviction. It was never wealth that built nations, it was vision. It was never talent that changed destinies, it was faith. Edison failed 10,000 times before the light came. Lincoln lost elections before he became a legend. Wright brothers crashed more than they flew until one morning, wings met wind. Each one of them had every reason to quit, every reason to doubt, every reason to surrender, but they didn't. Why? Because something greater than ambition was driving them, a divine spark, a belief that their life had meaning. And here's the truth. That same spark burns in you. Maybe it's buried beneath pain, maybe it's hidden under fear, but it's still there, waiting to be set on fire by purpose. The world will try to define you by your failures. People will try to limit you by your past. But heaven does not measure you by what you've done. It measures you by what you were meant to do. There's a sacred calling on your life. You may not hear it in the noise of the crowd, but in the silence of surrender, you will. It's the whisper of your Creator saying, "You were made for more." When you walk with God, every setback becomes preparation. Every delay becomes direction. Every disappointment becomes divine redirection. But only if you don't give up, because quitting doesn't just end a dream, it silences a purpose that could have changed the world. Don't waste your life chasing comfort. Comfort is a cage that looks like freedom. Soft walls, easy sleep, slow death. Greatness does not grow in comfort, it grows in conviction, in the quiet war between your fear and your faith. Ask yourself, what are you doing today that echoes in eternity? When you wake up, do you chase the world or do you chase the one who created it? When you start living for God, not religion, not appearance, but truly for God, everything changes. Your failures stop defining you. Your wounds become weapons. Your pain becomes purpose. You stop competing with others because you realize you're running a race designed only for you. Look around you. Billions of souls, each given the same currency, time. Some spend it, some waste it. The wise invested in eternity. Every breath you take is a seed. Every word you speak is a ripple. Every act of kindness, every prayer, every moment of courage adds light to a world drowning in shadows. Billy Graham once said, "The greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money or material things accumulated in one's life, but a legacy of character and faith." And that is the call. To build a legacy not of gold, but of grace, not of applause, but of impact, not of success, but of significance. Because one day, sooner than you think, the breath in your lungs will fade, the applause will die, the titles will be forgotten, and what will remain is not what you had, but who you became. You are not just a body with a heartbeat, you are a soul with a mission. And that mission is not about being known, it's about making Him known. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, you reveal heaven. Every time you show mercy when you could show anger, you reflect eternity. Every time you love when you've been hurt, you walk the narrow road that few find, the road that leads home. That is how you live for God, not by perfection, but by persistence, not by noise, but by quiet obedience, not by proving your worth, but by walking in faith that you already have it. You are not here by mistake. You are not too late. You are not too broken, because the author of life doesn't make errors. And if you're still breathing, the story isn't over yet. The question is, will you live like you wrote your story, or will you let God write the masterpiece He designed from the beginning of time?
The greatest tragedy is not death, it's living without purpose. So many people die at 25, but aren't buried until 75, walking, breathing, existing, but not truly alive. Because the moment you stop chasing what you were born to do, the soul begins to starve. Purpose is the oxygen of the spirit. Without it, no amount of success, no amount of wealth, no amount of fame will ever satisfy. You can fill your life with noise, but silence still knows your name. You can chase the world's light, but the darkness inside still whispers, "Why am I here?" And the answer, my friend, has never changed. You are here to glorify God through the way you live, the way you love, the way you endure, and the way you rise. You are not a mistake. You are a mission in motion. Every storm, every setback, every heartbreak, none of it was wasted. Because God does not waste pain, He refines it. He does not break to destroy, He breaks to rebuild. Sometimes He allows the storm not to drown you, but to teach you that you can walk on water. Look at Joseph, betrayed, forgotten, imprisoned, but that pit was the passage to the palace. Look at Moses, a fugitive in the desert, yet chosen to part seas and set captives free. Look at David, a shepherd boy ignored by men, but anointed by God to lead nations. And look at Christ, rejected, mocked, crucified, and yet through His suffering the world found salvation. You see, the thread of divine purpose runs through every wound. The hands of God are steady even when the world around you shakes. You may not understand the plan, but you can trust the planner. Faith does not mean the absence of fear. It means walking through fear with the confidence that you are not walking alone. Every great victory begins with trembling knees and a whisper of courage. Even the giants of faith felt doubt, but they moved anyway. And maybe that's what courage really is, not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear lead. Because fear destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Fear tells you that the mountain is too high, the dream too big, the time too late. But faith says, if God called me to it, He will carry me through it. When you live for God, your perspective changes. You stop asking for an easy path and start asking for a stronger spirit. You stop begging for comfort and start seeking character. Because it's not the calm seas that make great sailors, it's the storms. And you, my friend, are being trained in the storm. Every challenge that makes you question your strength is shaping your soul. Every delay that makes you restless is teaching you trust. Every heartbreak that feels unbearable is expanding your capacity to love. Because God's greatest work is not what He builds around you, it's what He builds within you. The heroes of faith, Abraham, Esther, Daniel, Ruth, they weren't perfect. They were ordinary people who made extraordinary choices in the face of fear. They didn't wait to feel ready. They moved because they believed. And belief is the birthplace of destiny. You don't need the whole staircase to take the first step. You just need the faith to move your foot. Because the path of purpose is rarely clear, but it's always worth it. The enemy doesn't fear your talent. He fears your faith. He doesn't care how busy you are. He just wants to keep you distracted. Because if he can't destroy you, he'll try to delay you. He'll whisper lies that sound like logic. You're not ready. You're not worthy. You failed too much. But remember, the enemy knows your name, but he calls you by your sin. God knows your sin, but he calls you by your name. You are not what you've done. You are what you were created to become. And when you walk in that identity, mountains move, chains break, and destiny awakens. There is a power inside you that is greater than the storm before you. It's the power of purpose, the fire of faith, the presence of God Himself breathing through your soul. When the world says impossible, faith whispers, "Watch me." When people walk away, heaven walks in. When the light fades, His hand guides you through the dark. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from victory. Because the cross already declared it, you are redeemed, you are chosen, you are loved beyond measure. So walk boldly into your purpose, not because it's easy, not because it's safe, but because you were not made to blend in, you were made to break through. The world doesn't need more successful people, it needs more surrendered hearts. People who aren't afraid to live differently, love deeply, and lead courageously. People who will stand when others sit, who will speak truth when it's unpopular, who will live for eternity when the world lives for applause. That is what it means to live for God, not perfection, but purpose with conviction. And when your heart beats for something eternal, every second becomes sacred.
Every generation is given a call. Some ignore it, some delay it, but a rare few answer it. And through them, the world changes forever. You don't have to be famous to be one of them. You don't need a pulpit, a platform, or a perfect past. You only need a willing heart, one that says, "Here I am, Lord, use me." Because history isn't written by the most talented. It's written by the most obedient. The quiet ones who dared to trust when everything screamed doubt. The faithful few who walked through fire and came out refined, not ruined. Think of Noah, mocked by the world, yet chosen by God. He built an ark in the middle of a desert because faith told him rain was coming. Think of Mary, a young girl from a forgotten village chosen to carry the Savior of the world. She had no status, no wealth, no power, only faith. Think of Paul, a persecutor turned preacher who carried the message of grace to the ends of the earth. Each one heard the call and said yes, not because they were fearless, but because they knew who walked beside them. And you are no different. The same God who called Moses still calls men and women today. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead still breathes in you. The same power that parted the sea can part your doubts, your fear, your hesitation. You were made for such a time as this, not to simply exist, but to influence, to uplift, to ignite change in the souls of those around you. When you live with that kind of purpose, you start to see time differently. You stop counting the hours and start honoring them. You stop chasing days and start filling them. You realize that every sunrise is not just another morning, it's a mission. And missions don't wait. Missions move. They break through excuses. They climb over fear. They walk on faith knowing that every step is sacred when it's taken with God. There's a sacred weight to knowing that your life is temporary, that this world is not your home, it's your assignment. You're not meant to plant your roots here, you're meant to bear fruit here. Because eternity is not some distant dream, it's the reality behind the curtain of time. And when you start to live with eternity in mind, your priorities shift, your conversations change, your habits change, your goals change. You stop trying to impress people who don't even remember your name a year later and start living for the one who will call your name forever. You begin to see that legacy is not what you leave behind, it's what you build within. A legacy of love, of faith, of courage. These are the bricks that outlast time. Billy Graham once said, "My one purpose in life is to help people find a personal relationship with God, which, I believe, comes through knowing Christ." That purpose guided him through decades, through nations, through storms. He didn't chase fame, he chased souls. And because of that, his message still lives long after his voice fell silent. You see, your purpose is never about you. It's about who you touch through you. You are a vessel, not a destination. A light, not the source of light. And when you let God shine through your cracks, even your brokenness becomes beautiful. Don't hide your scars. They're proof that grace works. Don't run from your past. It's the soil where faith took root. Don't compare your story. God writes in different fonts, but the same language, redemption. And when you finally realize that your life belongs to Him, everything changes. You stop asking for easy, you start asking for meaning. You stop living for someday and start living for today, because today is all you've ever truly had. Every sunrise is a sermon, every breath a blessing, every heartbeat a reminder that time is a gift, not a guarantee. And when you look at life through that lens, gratitude becomes your rhythm, humility your posture, and faith your compass. The world is loud, but heaven speaks in whispers. Listen close. You'll hear it even now. Come back to purpose. Come back to peace. Come back to me. And when you do, the world around you might not change overnight, but you will. You'll walk lighter because you'll know where you're going. You'll love deeper because you'll understand what matters. You'll give more because you'll realize how much you've been given. This is what it means to live for God, not in perfection, but in pursuit. To wake up every day and say, "This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." To treat your work as worship, your pain as preparation, your success as stewardship. And when you do, something incredible happens. You stop fearing death because you finally start living.
One day, your heart will beat its last. The sun will rise without you. Your name will be spoken in past tense, and all that will remain is what your life meant. It's a sobering thought, but not a sad one. Because when you live for God, death is not an ending, it's a homecoming. The final page of your story isn't written in ink, it's written in eternity. Billy Graham once said, "Someday you will read or hear that Billy Graham is dead. Don't you believe a word of it. I shall be more alive than I am now." That is the confidence of faith. To know that when this temporary life ends, real life begins. To live each day not fearing the clock, but honoring the Creator of time itself.
And until that day comes, you have a sacred duty to live with fire in your heart and heaven in your vision. To wake up not with anxiety, but with assignment. To walk not by sight, but by faith. To love people not for what they can give, but for who gave them to you. This life will test you. It will bruise your knees and break your plans. There will be seasons of silence, when heaven feels distant and prayers go unanswered. But even then, God is near. Not absent, but active. Sometimes His greatest work is hidden in the waiting. Sometimes His loudest answer is the strength He gives to keep walking. You will fall, that's certain. But grace is stronger than gravity. And every time you rise again, you prove that faith is not fragile, it's forged. Remember this, you were never called to be perfect, you were called to be present, to show up, to love deeply, to forgive quickly, to speak life where others speak doubt, to reflect light in places the world has forgotten. The shortest distance between a broken heart and peace is a prayer. The quietest moments of surrender often become the loudest echoes in eternity. So live like your time matters, because it does. Live like heaven is watching, because it is. Live like every person you meet is a soul, not a statistic, because they are. Maybe no one will ever write your name in a history book. Maybe you'll never stand on a stage or hold a trophy. But if one person finds hope because of your kindness, if one heart feels God because you cared, your life will have preached louder than any sermon ever could. Your purpose is not measured in numbers, it's measured in impact. And the most powerful impact is made in silence, in the moments no one sees. When you choose integrity over compromise, when you pray in secret instead of seeking praise, when you give without expecting to receive, that is when heaven takes notice. And maybe, just maybe, that's the secret Billy Graham and so many others discovered, that a life surrendered to God doesn't shrink, it expands. It multiplies in meaning. It ripples through generations long after the voice is gone. Because in the end, the measure of your life is not how long you lived, but how well you loved, how faithfully you walked, how boldly you believed, how deeply you trusted the one who called you. Life is short, but eternity is not. So live not for the applause of men, but for the approval of heaven. Live not for the comfort of the moment, but for the crown of forever. When you rise in the morning, whisper gratitude. When you walk through the fire, whisper trust. When you face the unknown, whisper faith. And when your journey ends, may your final breath be a testimony. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Because when you stand before God, it won't matter how much you owned, only how much you gave. It won't matter how loud your name was, only how loud your love was. And in that sacred moment, when the Creator looks into your eyes and says, "Well done, good and faithful servant," every sacrifice, every struggle, every tear will make sense. So live boldly, love deeply, give freely, forgive quickly, and above all, walk humbly with your God. The world may never understand why you live the way you do. They may call you strange, outdated, naive, but heaven will call you faithful. Because in the end, faithfulness is the greatest form of success. To finish empty of excuses, but full of purpose. To leave this world not with regret, but with peace. You don't get to choose how long you live, but you do get to choose how well you live. So live every day for God. Not tomorrow, not someday, today, right now, this breath, this heartbeat, this moment. Because life is short and eternity is waiting.